Now that we have found the consumption function, so we found that C is equal to 5 plus 0.6y, we need to ask ourselves what would cause this consumption function to shift up or shift down. That is, what would increase autonomous consumption spending. So let's look at the determinants of consumption spending. Okay. Now, if you change income, we have our consumption function here. If you change income, remember income is on the horizontal axis. So if you change income, you're simply moving along that curve. So we're changing the induced spending. Remember our consumption function of 5 plus 0.6y, and y was the placeholder. So if you changed income, that would be subbing in a different number for y. So if you went from y being 100 to y being 200, change income, then what would change is the induced spending. That 0.6 times y would go from 0.6 times 100 to 0.6 times 200. So this wouldn't shift the consumption function, it would simply move us along the consumption curve, since all we're changing is induced spending. But what would actually shift the graph and change the amount of consumption spending at all income levels is a change in autonomous consumption, if this number 5 here were to change. So let's talk about what changes the autonomous consumption spending. When it comes to changes in autonomous consumption spending, we have 4 things that change autonomous consumption spending. So let's take a look at them. The first is the wealth effect. When we talk about wealth, we're talking about the sum of all of our valuable assets minus liabilities. So what do we still owe on it? So if we take the value of our art, our property, things like that, subtract the amounts we still owe, that's our wealth. Well, let's suppose that the stock market is doing really well and you have a number of investments. If the stock market is doing well, then your wealth is going to increase. And if your wealth has increased, then at the current income level, okay, so here's the consumption function, here's current income. So at the current income, if we have additional wealth, we're now willing to buy more goods and services. And so we actually shift up that consumption function. So we have more wealth, we're going to buy more goods and services, even if our income is 0. We're changing the autonomous spending. The second thing that changes autonomous consumption spending is what we call the real balance effect. And the real balance effect has to do with a price change. Let's suppose the prices fall. Well, if prices fall, you now don't need as much money to buy the goods and services you were buying before, which means that the money in your savings account that you've been putting away for retirement, it goes further. So you don't have to put as much away into savings. So if prices go down, then we can save less and we can spend more. And so our autonomous consumption spending will increase. We're going to buy more goods and services. The third thing that changes autonomous consumption spending is a change in the age of durable goods. So remember, durable goods are goods that are long-lasting. These would be things like furniture and electronics. You keep them for multiple years. Well, if your durable goods are getting old, right, the refrigerator is about to die, then even if you have 0 income, say you've been laid off, your income is 0, but your refrigerator is about to die. Well, when that refrigerator dies, you're going to go get another refrigerator, even if you have no income, right? There's certain durable goods that we have to replace once they get too old. And then we do that regardless of our income level. So when goods get too old, then we're going to replace them. So we're going to spend more, and that's going to change your autonomous consumption spending. We can also look at changes in consumer expectations, right? How confident are you about the future? If you're afraid of losing your job, then you're less likely to go out and spend money. And it's your expectations about the future, not your current income, that's changing your behavior. So if you're afraid of losing your job, autonomous consumption spending will decrease. If you expect a raise, then you're going to start spending more even before your income has changed. So when we talk about changes in autonomous spending, we want to think about the fact that if our income is no different, what would still cause us to buy more goods and services and therefore shift our graph up, or cause us to buy less goods and services and thereby shift the graph down? So if we are wealthier, if prices fall so that we don't have to save as much for retirement, if our goods are old, or we expect a raise, all of these will make our autonomous consumption spending increase and shift our graph upwards.